Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about the Gwabini statement issue, how he is disowning it and Baloyi continues to force it down his throat. Anyway, before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you'll be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Now, there is a document that was never supposed to, that should have never been placed before a court of law. It was never supposed to be done like that, but Judge Rata yesterday said it must be. Was that the statement? Today? Okay, yes, he said it must be read into the record. That alone, I think it's very questionable, but okay, I'll check on that and then I'll come and make a video that clears that one. Not because the document was weak, not because it was incomplete, but because it was internally self-destructive on its own. That is why it was never supposed to be put on record. That is why Gwabini was never called to begin with in the witness box by the state. That is why. A single witness statement that tells two mutual exclusive timelines about the same critical fact, very wrong, very wrong. And the man whose name appears on it, Gwabini completely disowns it. It's even worse. It's even worse. He says it was pre-written. He says he was assaulted for it. And obviously, assault is equal to forcing me to sign it. So that is forcing him to sign it. And here is the uncomfortable truth for the prosecution. If they didn't know this, the internal contradiction in that document doesn't undermine Gwabini's claims, it proves it. The internal contradiction in that document, it's proving exactly what Gwabini was saying. Let's get into that quickly. Let's start with the document itself. Inside that one formal witness statement attributed to Gwabini, there are two incompatible timelines. I already talked about this in separate videos about when he allegedly learned about Senzo Meyiwa's death. Version 1 says he learned about the death on the very day the accused returned from the murder on the 26th of 2014, 26th October 2014. And the second version says that he only learned about it much later in 2014, in December 2015, through Bongani Ndanzi. Both statements appear in the same document. That is a problem. Both are presented as factual. Both cannot be true. We know this. And in law, that is not a small problem. That is a fatal defect. Ubaloyi knew this. But why he decided that document needs to come through now, I don't know. Maybe because of desperation, because they never anticipated that Gwabini would make it to the courtroom. Because a single witness cannot simultaneously have learned about the same death on two different timelines or occasions without one of those versions being false. That is not a typo. That is not an editing oversight. That is not a missing date. No, it's not. It is a direct logical impossibility sitting inside what the state calls corroborative statement. Do you remember Gininda saying Gininda statement, Gwabini statement, corroborative? That is what it is. In many criminal trials, a witness statement must be voluntarily, truthfully, coherent, consistent, authored or adopted knowingly by the witness. When a statement contradicts itself on a central fact, it fails at least three of those requirements at once. And Ubalo is very much aware of these guys. He knows. First, it failed at coherence. You cannot rely on at least three. You cannot, Jay. You cannot rely on a document that disagrees with it within itself. At least it needs to be proper. Secondly, it fails consistently. Courts treat internal contradictions as more serious than contradictions between different witnesses because it means the unreliability is baked into the document itself. Now we understand why Ubaloyi never brought Ugwabini. The third point, and most importantly, and it's very important, guys, it destroys authorship credibility. Ugwabini knows nothing about the statement. He disowns it. He disowns it because a real witness does not accidentally insert two mutual exclusive versions on the same event into a formal police statement. It can't. This was desperation. There's someone I saw commenting on YouTube saying that whoever was writing that statement on behalf of Ugwabini, he was drunk. There's no way. That only happens when someone else drafts the document, facts are stitched together carelessly, the witness is not the true author, the true author, or the witness was never in control of what was being written, which brings us to Gwabini himself, and the things that he's been saying in that control. Gwabini does not just challenge parts of the statement, he disowns the entire thing. He says it was pre-written, he was assaulted, he was forced to sign it, and now he knows nothing. Uti angaz. That was his answer throughout. So in most cases, when a witness later disowns a statement, prosecutors try to argue that the document itself still reflects the truth. But here, in this one, that is supposedly the document of Gwabini that was written by Ubongani Gininda for him. The document does not support the state. It supports Gwabini. I don't know if I'm making sense to you, because the internal contradictions is exactly what you would expect from a statement that was not authored by the witness. It reads like a document stitched together from different versions, different drafts, or different sources without anyone checking whether the timelines actually agree. This is not how a genuine voluntary witness statement looks like. This is how a constructed document looks like. So Gwabini is right when he says, I know nothing about the statement. And this is where it becomes legally indefensible. This contradiction was never explained by anyone. Not during Brigadier's testimony in his testimony from 2023 to 2025. He never explained. Not during any subsequent evidence, not in any clarification memo, not in any attempt to reconcile the two timelines. Gininda simply presented the statement as corroborative. You would remember that. He never told the court which version is correct, which and why the contradiction exists, who drafted the statement, whether Gwabini objected to its contents, whether Gwabini was interviewed properly, whether any correction process was followed. Nix. The court was left with a document that contradicts itself and no explanation from the prosecution. That is not an oversight. That is a strategic failure. Whether John Rata likes it or not, Oksalayo, the entire situation falls apart. And now everything clicks into one place. Why was Gwabini never called? Why was corroboration or corroborative witness quietly abandoned? Why was supposedly crucial link in the chain never placed in the witness box? Because the moment Gwabini takes the stand, this statement collapses. They knew it. He would have explained why the document contains two incompatible witnesses. I mean, timelines, as he is explaining now. why he says he never authored it, as he is explaining now, why he says he was assaulted, as this statement also explains itself now, why he says he was forced to sign, all of that. And the prosecution would not have no safe way to rehabilitate that evidence. That is why uBaloyi even refused to prove the statement. He failed dismally. That would force him as a prosecution to admit one of two catastrophic things. Either the statement is unreliable, coerced, and defective, or the statement is fabricated or mishandled at whoever who was busy with the system of taking statements. That level. Either way, the state loses credibility when it comes to this. So they did the only thing they could. They ditched him. They kept the document. They kept the document in the record, and they hope nobody would dissect it properly. Well, here we are busy dissecting it, and it's not making sense, and it's sinking them deep. Let's be absolutely clear. This is not a technical loophole. This is not a legal nitpicking. This is not a defense trick. Courts do not convict people on documents that contradict themselves, are disowned by their alleged author, were allegedly produced under assault, were never properly authenticated, were never tested through testimony. Never. A statement like this does not just weaken a case, it poisons it. Because if one corroborative document is this defective, everything linked to it becomes very suspicious. And here's the bigger problem for the state. The statement was not a side note. It was not. It was presented as part of a chain meant to support specific narratives about the accused. If this link is fake, coerced, or incompetent, then the chain is broken. And in a criminal law, a broken chain means reasonable doubt, not philosophical doubt, not emotional doubt, legal doubt, the kind of doubt that collapses prosecutions. And there is absolutely nothing that Ukininda can do about it. So let's call it what it is, guys. The statement is not just unreliable, it is radioactive. It contradicts itself. It is disowned by the alleged author. It was never properly explained. It was never tested in court. It was quietly abandoned by the prosecutors. And the contradiction inside it does not weaken Gwabini's denial. It confirms exactly what Gwabini says. Because only a document drafted by someone else carelessly under pressure would contain two mutually exclusive timelines about the same event. That's what it is. This is why they never called him. This is why Gininda never explained the contradiction. This is why the statement could never survive serious legal scrutiny. And this is why when people talk about evidence in this case, they need to understand something very clearly. Not everything placed on a court record is real evidence. Not all of it. Some of it is just paperwork that collapses the moment you read it properly and dissect it. What are your thoughts? Let's talk with comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.